Hello, hello. Hope you're all doing great. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, depending on the time which you're watching me. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining. Hi, everyone. Give me a second. Let me distribute this a little bit so that we can have a few more people join us. I hope you're all doing great. I'm happy to be here. And of course, one of those things, if you watch my previous videos, you know that I'm not one person who talks about, I'm the one person who talks about being scared to be online. Thank you for joining or to come on Facebook by myself. But today I was like, you know what, so long if you can do this, let's do this. Thank you so much for joining, Emily. Thank you so much, Tessa. I do appreciate you people. Thanks for joining. Today, I want us to talk about, again, if you follow me, You Can Be Anything podcast. You know that I love to encourage people to find their best versions. Please confirm that you can hear me. If someone is up there, please confirm that you can hear me. Please, I'll appreciate it. Please kindly confirm you can hear me. You see, I had to do some magic with my mic. I just want to be sure that you can hear me. If you're watching me, please just put in a comment if you can hear me. Awesome. I hope that you can hear me. Thank you all so much for joining. Exciting stuff. So today, just took a break, an hour break from work and said, let me, oh, thank you so much, Vicky. Hello, my dear. I said, let me come out here and talk a little bit about reskilling and upskilling, right? That is what I preach. This is one of the main things I talk about on my page, right? So in the title of the page, the name of the page says "You Can Be Anything" podcast. The goal here is to encourage and to motivate whoever comes across my page to know that you have that possibility, you have the potential to do more with your life, and that's why I'm able to create slots like this in my 8-hour day or 24-hour day to give up my lunch to come and sit here and just talk to someone who cares to listen. And so today I want us to talk about some of the skills. We all know that, and again, if you happen to join this late, the video is available both on YouTube and on Facebook for you to follow up, and do not hesitate to ask questions or to let me know your thoughts. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube page yet, please, if you're watching from YouTube, kindly subscribe. And if you're on Facebook, please do not forget to follow the page as I try to build this audience in this space, in the Facebook space. So thank you all for joining so much. I appreciate your time. So we all know that we are in an economic downturn where everything is changing. We've heard of, in different places of the world, we've heard of, in different companies, different walks of life, we've heard of layoffs. We know that talent has become very, very competitive. People are worried that they're going to lose their jobs. We have all of these fears are happening among people, right? There are some skills that are depreciating. We all know that there are things that automation has taken over, and so they no longer need human beings of that manual doing of these things. And one of the goals here today is to encourage you to upskill, right, or to reskill. And why do I say this is because we've all seen how much there's been this new automation, how the Internet of Things has taken over. We have all seen how AI, if you've heard the buzzword now, it's AI. Artificial intelligence is doing everything. Artificial intelligence is being used by almost every walk of life in the world, no matter who, from the classroom, from the elementary school teachers, all the way to the top executive. Everybody is interested in using artificial intelligence. And so, what is this thing? This is an automation, right? That has come to take over some of the things. No, I take that back. I don't want to say take over. It has come to assist, to enhance. And when people hear about artificial intelligence, one of the common things that they think is, oh, is this artificial intelligence coming to take away my job? Is artificial intelligence coming to just make a whole lot of people go jobless. That is not the case. Artificial intelligence, and the easiest way that I'll throw it out here to you before we go into the skills, which is the thing I want to discuss today, some of the skills that you can learn this 2023 that you can help you land a high paying job, right? But the only point I want to make about artificial intelligence today is the fact that artificial intelligence, AI, is not here to take away jobs. What will happen, as we've heard many other people say, is that the people who are using artificial intelligence at their jobs are going to take away your job. So people who use artificial intelligence will take away your job. Artificial intelligence will not take your job. So if you want to be smart, learn how to use artificial intelligence. Start with the free versions, download it on your phones, download it on your computers, just play with it. You'll see all the marvelous things that it can do for you, how it can be time saving, how it can give you a ground, right? A base to start anything, how it can help generate a template for you to then build up your ideas on. Please try to use it. Go out there, do some research and see how you can use artificial intelligence in the work of life you're in. So it is very important to look into that. Today, our goal is not to talk about artificial intelligence. That might come another day. But today, I want us to talk about skills, right? What are some of the skills that are in demand? I do encourage people to upskill and to reskill. And one of the most common questions that comes to me now and again is the fact that, hey, even if I wanted to learn a new skill, even if I say, yes, Solange, I'm willing to reskill. So reskilling is when you already have a skill, but you think like you need to change into something else. So, for example, I always use myself as an example just to make this thing as personable as possible. So, for me, I was into research, right? So, I was in academia. I left academia when I was doing a PhD in applied linguistics, documentary. So, I was doing documentary linguistics the most. And at some point, I had some challenges and I switched gears. I decided to reskill. So reskill here will mean I decided to learn something else, right? And in this case, I jumped into the tech bandwagon and I picked a particular skill in the tech world and I learned it and I mastered it. All right. So that was me reskilling. So that is what it means to reskill. Thank you all so much for joining. Des, I see you. For sure, Charlotte, I see you. Sasa, thank you. I appreciate you all for joining. Thank you. And please do not hesitate to share this. And so that is reskilling when you see that, hey, this thing is not working, or you see an opportunity somewhere else where you can get into it and be better, right? You decide to reskill. Then, what is upskilling? Let me just do a short again. This is not the most detailed definition of those words, but if you're listening to me, just so you understand where I'm coming from. So, what is upskilling? Upskilling is when you're already doing something. Let me take, for example, pick a nurse, right? Because sometimes when we talk about upskilling and reskilling, some people think that is just for people in the tech world. It's not. It could be in any walk of life. Pick a nurse, for example. You have systems that you work in, you are a nurse already, and you decide to upskill and you decide to go into something like um, telemedicine. Or no, I think telemedicine is mostly for medical doctors, but nurses can do that as well. As you decide to go into health informatics. Yes, the Internet of Things is taking over the world. AI is taking over the world. You decide to like, hey, you know what? I've been a floor nurse for this number of years. I've done this. I've gotten this experience. It's time for me to switch gears a little bit. Just within your nursing career, you decide to upskill into health informatics. So that is upskilling. Reskilling was my example where I changed from academia and research into technology, into the tech world. Upskilling is for someone, for example, you're a nurse and you decide to say, okay, I don't want to be a floor nurse anymore. It's time for me to become, you want to go study to reskill in health informatics. Same as a medical doctor, right? You have medical doctors today gearing up towards learning health informatics. They're switching from being hospital, like on the ground hospital medical doctors into telemedicine, all of those things. So that is what we call upskilling. So wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, you want to look for those opportunities to either reskill or upskill depending on what you want for yourself. Do not get me wrong. It is important that you know what you want for yourself. Then you'll be able to make that decision. What do I reskill in or what do I upskill in? So, oh, thank you, Desmond. Yes, please take notes and do not hesitate to ask me questions. I am here for us all, right? I do appreciate that. So now, if somebody were to ask me, hey, Solange, and again, this is just a search that I did on AI, right? I was like, hey, AI, tell me what are some of the most in demand jobs or talents or skills in the world today? That is me using artificial intelligence for my podcast. That is me using artificial intelligence to come and talk to you. I use it in my day-to-day work as well. But all is that I need to do some fine tuning because remember that this data is coming from the internet. You want to be, don't just take everything that you see on there at face value, do your own level of fact checking. Right. So I do. Yes, Desmond. The key word is knowing what you want for yourself. Yes. So I can say everything I want to say today. I can come on, yes, as well as I always do. Turn on my cameras. We talk about different things, but the most important thing is you to have that self-evaluation. What do you want for yourself? What do you want to do? Yes, Solange preaches you can be anything. Of course, you can be anything. But what is that thing that you want to become? And what is the effort that you're putting into that thing that you want to become? Right. So that is the goal here. So let's go. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about some of those in demand skills, right? What are the things out there this 2023 that, hey, if someone were to say, it's time for me to learn something new, it's time for me to change gears a little bit. I want to do something else and start all over again. In this case, we have both. I try not to talk only about the hard skills. I love to talk about soft skills as well because soft skills are also very important when you're upskilling or reskilling. We all need it. We all need to be able to. Maybe let's talk a little bit about soft skills, then we can switch gears into hard skills. I think I want to take it that route instead. So if you want to talk about soft skills, what are soft skills? Give me a second. So soft skills here, remember, we are talking about yourself, right? Your communication. How do you communicate? What are some of the, how do you work in a team? So these are just examples. How do you, like, if you have to work with a team of other people, how do you interact with people? Right? If you had to express yourself, how do you express yourself? These are all things that sometimes we feel like, hey, because I have become this top notch developer or I have become this top notch nurse or something, you think that that is it. Or hey, you know what? I got all the best certificates in project management. I even got into the SAFe and the Scrum Masters and all of that. And you think that that is all what matters. No. How you interact with people, how you talk to people, how you present yourself, your tone of speaking, all of those are soft skills. These are all things that are definitely very important as you go through your journey of learning. Even where you are today, even if you have not learned a new skill at all, but you know that you want to be able to get better, it is important that you look at these soft skills. We are looking at customer service. Yes, customer service is being taught. That is a whole course that you take. But also remember that something like customer service, it's the golden rule, right? You want to treat people how you want to be treated. So I always just look at customer service to be something that should be innate. If I go to buy something or if I'm shopping online from a particular account, from a shop or something, I expect those people to treat me right. If I walk into a store to buy, I expect the people at the store to give me great service. So I always say that customer service is giving out what you expect for yourself. How do you expect people to treat you when you are buying their services? That same way you want to be treated, treat your customers like that. So I look at that to be a soft skill, which is something that I love to talk about. Like, hey, let's not ignore our soft skills. Yes, you want to become this great person. You want to be whatever you want to become, right? Again, this is a podcast. What are you doing to do that? Are you the one with a sass mouth? Are you the one that, hey, no matter what, like you don't appreciate people or you just speak down on people? Those are all things that will deter you. Those are things that will hinder your growth. So you want to be very careful. You have to be very strategic in the way you're going about becoming your dream, right? So thanks again, everyone, for joining. Hey, Mr. Nz, I see you. I don't know how that campaign is going. Have you done that? Our hashtag follow you can be everything. You can be anything podcast campaign. Thank you so much for your support, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you. Another thing is leadership, right? Leadership is not, it's not solely, I will not say it's solely soft skill, it's something that you get trained in. But again, I always like to begin with the self, right? The way you want to be led, lead other people that way. That's how I look at it. Lead other people the way you want to be led, right? So if you know that there is more to leadership than what I just said now, but if you ask me, that is a core. That is where it begins, right? It's always the golden rule. I bet that there is a reason why this thing was called the golden rule. You get it? So we are looking at things like I already mentioned skill, teamwork, which is also a very, 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 very important soft skill in the world today. So yeah, we've talked about those soft skills. Now, I want us to delve a little bit more into the most in demand, right? The thing that is hot out here today, as of today. This my research is based as of today. What is hot in the market? What are some of those hard skills? So the soft skills are the interpersonal skills, like your own skills. The hard skills are the things that you actually learn how to do. For example, we are talking about the most popular one today, I wouldn't lie to you, is software development, right? That is the most popular one. And this kind of scares people. I've spoken to a couple of people like, oh, so launch software development, that is scary. Oh, no. And I don't feel and again, it's a process, right? It's a mental state of being. I got to a stage in life where I started to realize that nothing is crazily tough so long as you want to do it. There are little things that you need to do in order to get to where you want to be. But if this is something that you really like, and always give myself a chance, which is what I advise to give yourself the chance. Be able to say, hey, this is what I want to do. I think I like software development. What are you doing? Right? If you like software development, go ahead and find out what it is about. Go to YouTube. I've said this before. YouTube is not only to go watch us talking to you like this or watch music. You can also go to YouTube and do some research. What is software development? What does it take to become a software developer? Look at some of the material. Look at what is being done. There's always those starter. Go to the platforms where you learn from. I've recommended before. I've recommended Udemy before. There is a free version of Udemy. You can get free courses from there, as well as you can get the courses that will cost you like $12.99. So those are things that you can invest in, right? Investing in yourself, taking some of the money that you use to do other things out there and decide to invest in yourself. Udemy even has a free version, and you can also find some free courses on Udemy for starters. There's also Coursera. There's a ton of them. The last time I spoke on one of my podcast episodes where I was talking to Dr. Jaffner Joybird, he did mention, and he is also a very huge entrepreneur in Cameroon, and I love the work he does. He did mention he has a job board where people go to look for jobs. So if you're somewhere in Cameroon and you're looking for a job, hey, DJ Sakis, I see you, bro, always there. So if you're somewhere in Cameroon and you're looking for a job, reach out to people like that. Joybird is all over the world. Dr. Jaffney is all over the place. Look at those jobs. What are the jobs that are available? Give yourself time and say, hey, I want to be able to learn this skill because, hey, this skill is in demand. Gone past are the days where we study things because we wanted to study. That is one of the biggest points I'm making here. Why are we upskilling and reskilling these days? Why do I think that it is an important topic to talk about in our community? Because I know that just like me, many of you listening to me went to school to study not what you wanted to become in life. Most of the time, we studied what was available, or we studied in those departments where, hey, maybe for the advanced level we had only this number of points, and the university we went to at that time could only take us for that department to that department. There are tons, thousands and millions of us out here who went through that process. We went to college with not enough orientation to make the decision of what we want to study. And that is why I feel like it is very handy. This is something that we should talk about more. And this is why I feel that upskilling and reskilling is a very valid topic, especially among my peers, because I know how we all grew up. I know what we learned, right? I have friends who went to school to study, who went to school to study different things. It could have been communication. It could have been history. It could have been the linguistics that I studied, right? Since I couldn't become a lecturer anymore, I had to switch gears. That is where my reskill comes in. It could have been any department, sociology. Those are all very general degrees that we got out there. Will I sit here today and tell you that those degrees will give you high paying jobs? No, they will not. Unfortunately, that is the truth. They will not. They will not give you those high paying jobs. But then, now that we've already gone through that process, those of us that we've already gotten those degrees, what are we doing now? I am that one person that doesn't call on my mates or people who already have a degree to go back to college or go back to university or go do a post grad in one of those general topics again. No, I am not for that. And then again, this is my opinion. If it works for you, that's fine. But I am not in support. I'm not one person that supports that. If you're going back to school, especially if you're going back to school and taking a school loan, you want to make sure that you're going back to school to learn something that as soon as you get out, you get a job or you have what it needs to start your own business or your own company. We have gone past that level where we are going back to school to go get more general degrees. Nope. You don't need a second master in communication. You don't. You don't need a second master. You don't need all of those things. I don't want to be calling out specific walks of life here, but we all know what we're talking about. If you're doing one of them, you know for sure that it is. So long as it is not in the field where you're guaranteed that, hey, by the time you're even done, even before your defense, you already have companies reaching out, sorting out your talents. Please do not waste your time or your money. Go out there, pick up a skill, learn it, and you will thank me later. It worked for me. And I can as well guarantee that if you put in the work, it will work for you. I had options when I stopped my PhD, when I suspended my PhD. I had the option that when I came to the US, I could as well go to another university, maybe do some few prerequisites to match what I had done in Germany before, and continue in academia. I had those options. But then I'll ask myself, I was already in my late 20s when I was doing my PhD. Then I got to the US. If I had to go back to school for another year, and I'm thinking, okay, it took me about a year or two to find my feet, to find my balance within the US, right? I'm already getting to 33. If you look at my page, I say it right there. That it took me 33 years from the time I was born to realize what I really wanted to do in life. And to me, that is where things changed. Right. So you want to look at it in that way. If you say, hey, you want to go back to school, please be going back to school to do something that is valid. I could as well go back to school when I came to the US, but then it was not necessary. What I did was I looked for a skill. Until today, I was fortunate to have picked one of those skills that is still in very much high demand. I started learning Salesforce in 2017 until today, 2023, it is still in very much high demand. I'm happy I picked that skill to learn. And that's why I have made it a point to always come out and encourage people like, hey, man, pick up something and reskilling, upskill, do something. Thank you so much. I see your comment. Saki says, how I wish the Cameroonian government points out these experiences. Yeah, many youths in 237 are suffering today because of general education. Thank you. We're all victims of it. And then at the same time, when we come to the realization, it is important that we don't go picking, especially for those of you who are in school in countries where education is not free. And even if education is free, it is your time. Your time is not free. You're burning your years doing some of those general courses, which will not add an extra slice of meat on your table. It will not. Right. So that is the point I am making here. Thank you so much for joining me, Rushi Peshi. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your time. So we are looking at those skills that will give you, again, we started talking. The first one I mentioned was the software development. The second one that is in high demand today, again, I am talking to you today based on research I did today, looking for the most high in demand hard skills to learn. And the second one on that list is SQL, right? SQL, SQL, right? This is a skill that I personally have. I learned this skill in 2008, I know 17, 16, 17 at Montgomery College in Maryland. I went to Montgomery College through the adult education department, and I learned SQL. Till today, I learned it that time because I wanted to do database administration. It did not click for me, which is another lesson I want to pass out here. It's not everything you try that will work, but let it not, but let it not discourage you. I studied database administration. I think that was when it was the transition between 11G to 12G. I studied that at Montgomery College. It came together with this course with SQL. Today, I still use SQL at my job. So that skill that I learned together with database administration, even though I never ended up becoming a DBA, a database administrator, I did not go that route. I switched and went to Salesforce. I am still using SQL within Salesforce because even in Salesforce, we have the SOQL, which is the object query language, right? So it's a Salesforce object query language. So it's still valid for me. So that's why I say sometimes it is okay to give yourself grace when things don't work out. Even if you feel it is okay, and just move on to the next thing. The next man, you have the flexibility. That's one thing that we have as human beings, right? The flexibility to do what we want to do. It's about what you want for yourself and just do it. So SQL is actually the second most in-demand hard skill in the world today. And this SQL is a query language. It's about being able to query databases, being able to say, hey, what is it that you want to do? Because a lot of people, so companies will use SQL to analyze data, like large complex data. So they are using it to retrieve information. Imagine that a company like Amazon or MTN or Orange, right? We all have accounts in these businesses. Imagine that this company, they look at data. Data gives them the insight to be able to make business decisions. What does SQL do? Instead of going into these huge databases, going to look for, I want to see how many people subscribe to Amazon Prime this month. I want to see how many people bought new MTN numbers. I want to see how many people are recharging their phone at least once a week or at least every day. These big companies need this information to make informative decisions about the growth of their businesses. How do they get this data? You can imagine, think of how many people are in the MTN, in the Orange or Camtel database today. It's millions of people. If they want to get this kind of data, what do? That is where SQL comes in. That is why it is one of the highly sought skills in the world today. Because big, small, medium-sized companies all need to be able to retrieve this information from their huge databases so that they can make informed decisions for the growth of their business or the maintenance. There is no company that wants to stay the same. Every company is looking for opportunities to grow, right? We see it every day, the regular WhatsApp that we all use. We see what Meta is doing with it. They're upgrading it, they're changing things. They're looking at what people are talking about. Recently, I saw the update on WhatsApp that you can now edit your messages. You know how on WhatsApp, when you send your messages before, you could not go back to edit it. And these are little upgrades that they are doing. And what is that based off of? It's based off information that they are gathering. How are they gathering some of this information? They are using SQL. So SQL is a very, very important skill. It is not hard at all. At all. I have friends that we have spoken to, and they have been able to learn this skill, and they can use it. You can use it in almost all databases. You see, when this list comes up, they don't tell me that is a SQL that is used on Salesforce, which means you can query databases no matter the kind of database. you can say, hey, select, oh, okay, let's query Cameroon. Let's assume that, okay, in our country, Cameroon, right, everybody, let's say we want to query every child that was born on the same day as myself, right? We're assuming that I'd like to use my country, Cameroon, because someday we hope to get there, right? I know these things were written on paper, but hopefully someday we're going to get there. So let's say I want to query the database of the Bansa Baptist Hospital. That is where I was born, right? Let's say they have this database. You go in there and you're like, you write a query. You're like, select all children that were born in this hospital on July 11th, so and so year, because I don't want you to know when I was born. Let's give an example, 1980, right? Let's say select all children who were born, like select all children who were born in this hospital on July 11, 1984, and you can go further to even narrow it down and say where their sex is female. It brings all the kids that were born in that hospital, all the girl children that were born in that hospital on that day. That is how magical SQL can be. This is a very basic example. This thing can get as complex as it goes, and it can bring you, it could sort you as a person out in a system like America with all because things are computerized more than in our lovely country, Cameroon. It can bring you all the data that you need to sort people out. It can narrow it down and bring the specifics. So SQL is a very, very important skill. The next one I have on the list here, based on what AI gave me, 84. Actually, that's my year, Sakis. I came on the height age. That's actually my year as well, 84. Yep, so I'm an 84 girl. So the next one is finance, right? Finance is also, the world looms around money. Everything is around money. There is uncertainty. People are not sure if they should invest their money or not. People are not sure if they should just keep their cash at home, or they don't know what to do with their money. There's been a lot of gloom around what is happening in the money system, in the money world recently, right? So finance. Now, if you get into finance, you want to be able to look at, hey, what is it in this finance world, like in the finance, how do I call it, finance space, the finance ecosystem, that I can learn that will be helpful to me, right? You're looking at being able, every company wants to be able to plan so that they can forecast. Because if a company decides to hire 20 people, it is planning like, okay, these 20 people that I'm hiring today, I have to pay these people. Let's say they are $50,000 every year. I'm hiring 20 of them. I have to pay them. What is the plan? How much income can they bring in? So the finance, every company has a finance department. Now it is left for you to go in. Again, I'm talking particularly about corporate finance. I know that that's a really big one. It's left for you now to go in if that is your thing. Don't just say that, hey, you're finance, and they ask you what's your specialty, and you just say, hey, I did finance at the University of Boya. No, that will not take you anywhere. You're not. You need to find something, a niche, and you need to find something and become an expert on. Right. And next, you see the next couple of skills that are listed here are geared towards development. We all know I just talked about AI, right? And developers, they wrote some code for that thing to work. Developers, these are a group of people that as as um as how can I call it, as AI grows, right? As you see the change in things getting automated and all of that, developers will never, never become obsolete. There are times that I know when AI kicked out and became public for everyone to use it, they even have like simplified, you can ask AI to write code for you. But remember that writes what is there. There is still need for that developer to go in and personalize that code, to make that code to meet your specific business need. Right. So these developers are always very handy. One of the most popular, or one of the most, and not even one, the most popular development language today is Python. That is because, so if you have ever heard of it, you don't know what it is, go check it out. If you have any soft thing for coding, so for being a coder or a developer or something, please check out Python. I talk about Python today. I don't know Python. I know a little bit of Java, of Apex, right, which is the code that Salesforce uses, right? I'm not a developer. I know a little bit of that just because it is part of my daily. I can identify things with it. I can tell a developer what to do with it, but I don't write code on my daily basis. But then Python is the most used today, right? And foreseeably, it shows that this will be the most used programming language. So why not learn it if you can? Why not? Why not just pick it up and learn it? It's guaranteed. If today you come out and say you are a Python expert, I can guarantee you're going to find a job. If you look at, I did put a video today on my Facebook page about your geographical location. In that video, I answered the question of, is your geographical location really a hindrance, the way most people look at it? Like, hey, I'm located in Lagos, I'm located in Bafusam, and you're wanting me to learn Python. How would that help me? Your geographical location does not matter. Again, I don't want to go ahead and repeat what I said already in that video, right? Go check it out. I don't want to repeat it, but then I just want you to understand that your geographical location does not matter. There is this word, have you ever heard the word outsource, outsourcing talent? There is no big company in the world today, whether they are located in the UK, in Canada, in US, in Australia, in Russia, they outsource talent. Yes, they outsource talent. They don't need you to be there to do it. When they outsource, okay, let me talk, for example, within the US. When US outsources talent, right, when they go outsourcing talents, they are looking for people who can do the jobs, but they are saving money. I did say that in the video. They save money because the standard of living in the US that they're expected to pay someone that lives and works in the US is not the same as they're going to pay someone that lives and works in Boya. But so long as that person in Boya proves to them that they can do that job, why do you think that they will not go for the person in Boya? So long as you prove to them that you have the skill, you have the talent to do that job, you prove to them that, hey, you are able to have internet, right? Because I know that for our country, internet could be an issue, but I know people that are in Cameroon and they are working for US-based companies and they are doing great. They're in different parts of Cameroon. So it is possible. What you need to do is to make yourself stand out. Don't go learning everything. No. You want to pick something and be a master of it. That is how you're going to grow. That is how you're going to stand out. Right. So for now, Python falls as the most used, and in the foreseeable future, is still going to be the strongest programming language in the world. So if you have a thing for that, for coding and for stuff, please just check out. And even if you don't have a thing for it, it doesn't hurt. Just go online. Or if you don't have Udemy or any of those things, please go ahead and go to YouTube. What is Python? Right? Go check it out. Yes, I see DJ Saki. Somebody asked me how it's spelled. That is it that DJ Saki has spelled in the comment section. He says, I will surely study that Python. Yes. What is it? Go learn about it. See if it's something that you can do. And don't get me wrong. When I encourage people to learn skills, I am also that one person that encourages you to keep doing what you're doing while you learn a skill. Because that is what I did. When I did Salesforce, again, trust me, this podcast was inspired by my life. And so I don't talk through things without using my life myself as an example. Before I started doing Salesforce, when I went to school to do database administration and SQL, as I told you, to me, at that time I was working at Aldi, the grocery store. I worked at Aldi and I worked at Macy's. Did I stop working at Macy's or at Aldi because I wanted to study SQL? No. I worked there, long regular shifts like everyone else does, came back and created the time to study. I moved out of MD into California. And in California, the people that I left in California, I was a CNA. I was a nurse assistant. Because that was the easiest job for me to get at that time when I moved into California. I did CNA for a while in California, but I would be a CNA by day. And by night, I'm burning the midnight candle learning Salesforce. So I did not stop my CNA job because I wanted to learn Salesforce. No. Who would have paid the bills for me? I kept doing my CNA job, then created the time because, yes, there is this common concept like, oh, I don't have time. We have enough time within 24 hours to do a whole lot of things, a whole lot of things. So it's the same thing I'm calling on you today. For example, I just spoke about Python, right? If today you're something you're doing something, maybe you work in a hospital or you're just and whatever you're doing, just create time and say, hey, I want to know about this particular skill. Start with, look, for example, just I'm using Python as an example. I'm not telling everyone to go learn Python, right? I'm using it as an example, but it is a good example because I know for sure that if you are a Python expert today, if you learn it, you're going to get a job. It is for sure, it is guaranteed. That is one thing that we all know. If you know somebody that has that skill, is an expert at it, and they're doing things right, they have a LinkedIn profile that's showcasing what they can do, and they don't get a job, then let's talk to that person and coach them. Python is a good skill to have and very much in demand. Do whatever you think you're doing, and then create the time to learn the skill that you want to maybe transition in as time goes on. So when you finally get a job, then you can stop the other thing. All right. So we've spoken about Python. Now, the next thing, and again, you can check on Python courses. You'll find them on Udemy, Coursera, all those learning platforms. And also remember that most of those platforms have a free version. It's okay to start free. Then when you start wanting more, when you have gotten your appetite a little, then you can say, okay, I think I want this. You start wanting more, then you can go in now and get the paid version. But please, at least give yourself give it a try. Try something. Don't just sit and settle and say, "Oh, all right, today I am a sales associate at Lidl or at Aldi," and you just want to stay there. What happened to your dreams of becoming something better? What happened to all of that? You need to be able to step up. Go do your 8-hour shift at Aldi or at Lidl or at Kroger or at Walmart. Come back home, create time. Say at least 2 hours every day. 2 hours to some people is a lot, but man, I did more than that. And that is because of how much hungry I was to become a better version of myself. Right. Hey, Tabi Bison, thank you for joining, sweetheart. I see you. Famokon Solange, I appreciate. Thank you all for joining. Right. So create the time and do something. Please, let's not settle. We are intelligent people. Our brain power is huge. We can do, imagine the things that we do online. Imagine the things that we come and we talk about or we chat about, we do things. Imagine that you could just switch gears a little bit and focus on one particular skill and put in that kind of brain power to it. You will come to believe with me that nothing can be so hard for you to do. That is where I stand today. I do not believe that anything can beat me. So long as I want to do it, I have the resources. I believe that I can do it. Right. So we talked about Python. There's other more. There is also Java. Java is also a programming language, which is open source. It just means that you can actually go in there, see what other people have written, take their code and use it in your own. Let's say you're developing an app or something, you can go in and use their code. It's an open source programming language. So it's also Java is also a programming language. So it's a very good one as well. Then to walk through this, there is data analysis, right? I talked about the SQL. So data analysis and SQL are not the same, but they come together. They work hand in glove, right? So they say data is collected in every business function and must be analyzed to gain insights, right? So that they can make informed decisions. Oops, these people take these words out of my mouth. That is what I just said above, right? And we say that it helps when you do effective data analysis, it can help a business to optimize their performance and reduce cost, which is what every business goal is. Ask any business owner, even you in your small business space, the most important thing you want to do is you want to be able to optimize your performance and reduce cost. Even as I do this podcast, right? I was talking to one of my podcast colleagues and he was advising me like, hey, Solange, you need to cut your cost until you're able to be able to make some money, right? So he's like, hey, Solange, you need to cut costs because I feel like you're spending way more than you're making. I'm like, okay, I'm not making money yet. If all the people watching me today follow my page and encourage others to follow my page, maybe I'll start making some money. But again, you see, it all boils down to that whole being able to optimize performance and reduce cost, right? So that is what data analysis will do. Hey, my dear Primus, Primus, I see you. This guy that just joined, Primus Vehicle, right? This is a tutor. Are you even a tutor? He is a trainer, right? He teaches all these different skills I'm talking about. Not all of them, a select few. So if you're on here and you're doubting, like, oh, but Solange is saying all of these things, I don't want to have to go to, I don't want to have to go to YouTube to go do the research. Where can I go and find someone that will actually teach me these things and stuff? I don't want to learn on my own. Primus Veku is where you want to be, right? Let me see if I can pin his comments so that you see his name and you check him out. He is a very good one. That's if I find my mouse. Sorry, my mouse don't disappear. Famous, I cannot find my mouse. So, okay, I see it now. Yep. So this is, yes, that's Primus. So check him out. He has amazing skills or courses that he's teaching. So in order to achieve this, you want to check that out. So we've talked about the data analysis. Again, JavaScript is a scripting language. If you're a code developer, you should know what that means. So it is a scripting language that is used to develop that pages. So JavaScript is also another one that is very much highly in demand. Then comes where I fall, cloud computing. That is where I fall. That is where my friend Faiwokita falls. That is where Primus Vehicle falls. Cloud computing. Cloud computing is a big thing. It is to me, it was my game changer. So when I talk about it with small high up, right? Because it worked for me. Is it because I'm special? No, it's because I put in the work. Right. You remember in those days when we used to jam, so you have to go right advanced level. They'll expect you to memorize all of those things. You soak your feet in water and read and do all of those things. I heard it worked for some people, but it did not work for me. That's probably why I did not even pass the advanced level in those flying colors. I passed because I passed. I just passed. Right. So this, I believe that taking that same enthusiasm to reading, jarring, when you're writing those exams back in Africa, I always say that, man, our exams are way more difficult than the exams that I've encountered since I left Cameroon, whether in Germany or here, right? I still believe that I had a more difficult experience passing exams back at home than I did in Germany and in the US. That is my personal experience. I don't know if it's the same for you, but to me, that was my personal experience. Right. So cloud computing is where I fall. That is where you'll find things like AWS. That's where you'll find Salesforce. That's where, again, Google has its own cloud. Microsoft, Azure, is that cloud? Yeah. I don't know everything. So just from the way I'm talking to you, there are things that I talk with a lot of confidence because I know that part. Ask me about Salesforce. I will tell you everything I know. I know a little bit about AWS. Azure, I don't know much about it. But I picked something and I mastered it. Because I'm talking about cloud computing doesn't mean I know everything cloud computing. You get, I don't know everything cloud computing. I know what I mastered. And that is the same advice I would love to give to you who is learning something. Do not be everywhere. Pick something, master it, and move on. Know that, hey, you can, so as you've mastered one, you can decide to start picking out and say, oh, I want to add a little bit of this to it. Oh, I want to add a little bit of this to it. But you have your core. You have that thing that is yours, that you are a master of. Right. So cloud computing is also really huge because there are many companies are moving away from their on-premise software into the cloud. So that's why it has become very, very much in demand, right? So you'll see that these engineers, people like Primus Veku, I keep calling him there because I know that I have worked with him. I have seen his work. I know that he's a trainer for cloud computing. So you'll see that these engineers have developed these skills that they use to help maintain solutions in the cloud instead of having those on-site premises that most companies had before. So again, cloud computing, Find out what it is, look for the one that works for you, then hone on it. Thank you so much, Glow CEO. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. You see, this girl, people say they like my voice. Another person told me that my voice sounds like Tinubu. So if you think that my voice is like Tinubu, the Nigerian president, please let me know in the comment section. Somebody told me that I sound like him. So that's why I'm speaking and the voice disappears and I have to bring it back to life. So that was cloud computing. Then we have operations too. Operations is, remember that all of these people that are doing these jobs, right? All of these people that I've spoken about, all of these engineers, all of these developers, all of these people need to be managed. That's the truth about it. Operations come in, right? So operation skills will help organizations manage their resources. Operations is huge because I just talked about companies outsourcing talents. So you should not feel like, hey, you don't want to learn a new skill because you're somewhere in Africa or you're somewhere in Cameroon, you're somewhere. No. When you know that skill, if you pick a skill that is in demand, it's not any skill, pick a skill that is in demand. You learn that skill, you master it, you showcase yourself. One of these days, I'm going to come up and talk about the importance of having a professional portfolio, of having a profile like LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you here watching me have a professional LinkedIn page, especially if you're someone that is looking to grow, right? Build your own personal professional portfolio that you can show out. You can show people, like you say, hey, this is me. Scan this QR code. That is who I am. And people can see what you have done. They can see your skills. They can see what you can do. And when you're building that portfolio, you want to be able to showcase some of the things you're doing. Do not be shy to tell us what you can do. Do not be shy. Even if it is something you feel like is so basic in that field, showcase it. Okay, so operations is also a big thing. So this is just to let you know that it doesn't only have to do with, hey, hands-on technical skills, write code or query databases. Operations is what organizations need in order to be able to manage the technical talent. They need people to manage this. If companies are going to outsource, they need people who go interview those people. They need people who are going to get them and put them into the system. So that is operations. So operations actually falls among the 10 most in demand, the high demand skills in the world today. So if that is your kind of thing, so operations, I think it's kind of related to the whole HR, kind of related. I'm not saying it's synonymous. It's not synonymous, but it's kind of related. So managing those things, right? And so you can also check on that depending on what works for you. Right. And so for today, the last one on this skill on the list here is customer relationship management. What is customer relationship management? What I do for my everyday work is customer relationship management. It's Salesforce. A lot of people ask me, hey, Solange, you talk about Salesforce. Salesforce, what is Salesforce? Salesforce is a customer relationship management platform. And what is customer relationship management? It is, so when you hear about that, what are you thinking? You say that customer, so when somebody has a business, right, they are looking to retain an existing customer. They want to retain customers. They want to be able to find a new customer, and they want to be able to manage these skills, right? So when we're talking of retaining a customer, that is service. So again, I'm talking about Salesforce. There are other CRMs out there. Like I think I've seen things like Monday. I have seen things like Dynamics. There are also other CRMs out there. Whichever one, but generally the CRM skill, the customer relationship management skill, is also in demand. Whichever one you pick to choose is your choice. As for me, I picked Salesforce. So this is where what I do falls on. Salesforce falls under the customer relationship management. And when I went there, I picked Salesforce and I decided to become a master of Salesforce. Right. So that is what it does. It checks you're looking for leads, which is what it's called in Salesforce. You're also looking to, so for people who already have customers, you're helping retain them. So leads will fall under sales, retaining customers will fall under service. There's a whole lot of different clouds under it a whole lot of different things. But just so you know, the goal out here is not to talk about what Salesforce is, but just to let you know that CRM in general is a highly sought out skill in the world today. So pick one and see if you like it. And if you do, master it. You will get a job. Know what you're doing, put in the effort, and you'll get a job. So far we have spoken, and again, I do appreciate you all for joining. I appreciate this again. Look at who is live. I'm always so nervous about being live, and I'm even talking and I forgot that I had a camera in front of me and I'm here alone. So I do appreciate you all for joining. This is amazing. Um, I see Lena asking, what of digital business? I don't know what that is offered, Lena. I'll definitely need to do some research in order to respond to you. But if you know how to use AI, it is a free tool, whether on your phone or on your computer. Oh, on my computer is free, but on the phone, I know I was asked, they were going to charge me some small amount, but I use it on my computer and it's free. Those are questions that you can ask AI. Google will do it for you too, for free, right? But you want to be able to use these things, use them. Go in there and say, hey, is digital business a thing today? Is digital business a skill that you want to learn today? It will analyze it for you. It will tell you, right? I personally do not know exactly what digital business is. So unfortunately, I cannot answer that question. Right. Then I do see a question from Tabi Bison. Can you tell us some of the skills that are in high demand? Yes, the skills that I just went through now, and I can just quickly list them before I take off because this was going to be a 1 hour. So the ones that I've spoken about so far today, I talked about software development. That falls on number one of the skills that are in high demand today, that if you master them and you know them, there is guarantee you're going to get a job no matter where you're located. And please do not forget, go on my You Can Be Anything podcast page and check on that video that I posted earlier today about your location. Does your geographical location matter when you are learning a new skill? Right, so check out that video. So just to answer your question, Bisong, there is software development, number one. There is SQL, the query language. There is finance. Again, the example that was actually listed in here is corporate finance, because again, in as much as we do all the jobs out here, these people that employ us need their money to be managed right. Right. There is corporate finance. There is Python, which is the most sought programming language in the world today. Python. There is also Java. It's also a programming language, but it's not as popular. Or it's not as Python is like the overall. Right. Java resembles Python, but Python is the one that is the most highly in demand. There's also data analysis. I talked about being able, companies wanting to use the data they have in order to be able to make informed decisions about their business. So data analysis, when we hear data analysis, we will see things like, oh, what the data scientists and all of those people do, right? There is JavaScript. JavaScript now comes in when we're looking into how, oh God, this girl and her voice. My voice just bails on me in the middle of talking. I'm so sorry. My voice just bails. The voice just bails on me like no man's business. Sorry about that. So JavaScript is how you will build the dynamic pages. So for example, you know how, for example, your phone, right? In as much as the code behind your phone might be Python, they need JavaScript in order to give you the, like, hey, when you click on contact, this is what it looks like. And this is what is, so those little scripts to show the, to be able to build like web pages, right? That's what JavaScript is used to develop dynamic web pages. So that's something that is also important. The developers need the JavaScript as well in order to be able to build whatever they are building. And the other one was cloud computing, where I mentioned AWS, all the AWS, the Salesforce, all the different clouds that are out here. There is operations, then there is CRM. So those are the ones that we've talked about today, right? And having talked about this again, in the next time I come live, it's still going to be something similar to this, but we'll delve deeper into other things that I don't know. I don't particularly know now which one we're going to delve. There's a whole lot of things to talk about. But when I come live again, just because I want you to anticipate and come, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to just come on and we do this together. But there is one thing that's kept my mind and I want us to talk about is UX design, right? Um, to all of you out there. So at the beginning of this program, I mentioned that most of my peers that went to school in Cameroon, I know it's common in most, not only in Africa, even here in the US. There are people here who went to school and they did skills, they did degrees in general education, in things that, and they are going back for first, second masters, going to do a second master in a similar thing. Like the degree did not give you a job. Why are you becoming a master in it? Right? Now I'm asking those questions because of the exposure I've gotten, because of the mentorship, because of the understanding that I've gotten when it comes to the importance of doing these things, importance of what we study. My break is almost up, so I'm kind of rushing to round this up. You get it. So when you look at this, you ask yourself, what is it when you, so one, again, the next topic here is going to center around what we're encouraging our children today. Most of us, I mean, when I'm talking about my peers, we have kids that will be getting ready for college. What kind of orientation are you giving them? What are you learning yourself that you can help guide them? You can help them to make a guided decision on what to study. Are you just going to let them go into the university and get another 200,000 loan just to study a general degree in communication? Is that what you want for your child? Or even if you want to do that, what are your reasons? What backing do you have? So we have the opportunity at this time to think before we guide these children into. I'm not telling us that we have to tell them what to do, but it is our responsibility to talk to them, right? To guide them, to or give them that orientation. Gone are those days where we wanted to become teachers or medical doctors because our fathers or our mothers were teachers or medical doctors, or wanted to become, no, we are doing things in life today based on what is out there. We are doing things in life today based on what is in demand, right? We have to make sure that we are learning things that will put food on our table and not just pocket more and more degrees and go forward. So the reason I talked about this is because I was talking to my daughter, who is a 13-year-old, about UX design. And she has always told me that, hey, mommy, I want to become a designer. When I grow up, I want to be able to make spaces aesthetic, not a clothing designer and interior design. I want to be able to make places aesthetic. I want to be able to go design homes and offices and spaces so that when somebody walks into it, they'll be like, wow. To her, at some point, that is what she's thinking about. Then I ask her, I'm like, okay, yes, you can do that. If that is your passion, that's fine. Do you know that there is a highly sought skill today, which is called the UX design, the user experience design, or the user interface? What is a user interface? It's what you're seeing. So when you open a website, what do you see? Do you prefer that this tab should have been here? Do you prefer that where you see, like where you locate these things, where these different things are located on the website, for example? Do you like where they are? That is what UX people do. That is what the same way you want to see how beautiful your home looks, or if you're decorating an office, the same way you want to see how beautiful they look. That is how these UX designers, they're also working to make sure that whatever these developers, that's why I say they're also in demand, because whatever the developers are developing, whatever, let's say there is a medical device that is being developed today, there is the need for a UX designer, because you want to make sure that that device, that thing that you're designing, that thing you're developing is friendly to the users. There are people today who will not use certain gadgets because they don't find it friendly enough. It's difficult for them to navigate through. Right. So these are skills that you will sit and wonder, because the developer develops that, or a software developer develops that software, it doesn't mean that they are the ones who also presenting, like the way they present it to the end user. It's not necessarily them. That is where a UX designer now comes in. So they work together, they work hand in glove. Okay. So again, I do appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Sophie Talk Show, for joining. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you all for the time you have taken to spend this 1 hour. This is the time that I was supposed to eat, and I've decided to come and make this show. And I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you can share this with your connections, with your network, right? And that this video will help somebody. I appreciate your time. And yeah, I got to go back to work because it is what I do. My break is over. And thanks again for your time. Please share the video and do not forget to follow the page for more informative content like this. I do appreciate you all who joined. Thank you, Tim Chanish. Thank you, Babi. I'm happy that you both found it useful. Thanks again and have an amazing day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.